What do I do? This is terrifying. This is a nightmare and a spark of hope all at once. Why is this happening right now? Why is everything spiraling out of control? Jenny had given up so much, her entire comfort, her familiar world, everything for what she thought would be a practical step to stabilize her life with Sumit. Yet now it feels like a trap she cannot escape. The decision to move in with Sumit's parents, which started as a financial fix, has quickly morphed into Jenny's worst nightmare, a living hell under the roof of a household where every smile hides judgment, every word carries weight, and every action is scrutinized. From the moment the cameras followed Jenny and Sumit into the Singh family home, viewers were told this was temporary, a compromise for financial stability. Yet behind closed doors, the reality was harsher than anyone could imagine. Jenny, now legally Sumit's wife after years of delays and resistance, was immediately subjected to an unspoken hierarchy that placed her at the absolute bottom of the household. Her mornings, her meals, her interactions, her very presence were dictated by unyielding rules enforced not as tradition, but as authority, and every slip, hesitation, or question drew correction, disapproval, or sometimes outright humiliation. It was not about culture, one insider explained. It was about control, about dominance, and Jenny was expected to obey without question. Weeks passed, and Jenny's spirit began to crumble under the relentless weight of invisible chains. Sumit, caught between loyalty to his mother and care for his wife, attempted to mediate without directly confronting the heart of the problem, hoping that patience and time might soften his mother's rigid stance, but time hardened it further. As sodden as expectations escalated, Jenny was tasked with cooking, cleaning, and performing household chores under a microscope, where even a moment of rest became evidence of laziness or disrespect. The tone of every interaction was suffocating. She was corrected not as a partner, but as a subordinate, a child, a servant, a constant reminder that marriage had not altered her status. Emotionally, Jenny withdrew, anxiety mounting with each passing day, and off-camera breakdowns became frequent, the production team noting that her despair was intensifying, leaving her to question if she had made the most irreversible mistake of her life by staying in India. Then came the planned family picnic, a neutral, supposedly calming intervention orchestrated by production to ease tensions, remove everyone from the stifling environment of the home, and encourage conversation without the oppressive presence of authority. What was intended as a restorative outing became the catalyst for the most explosive confrontation the family had ever experienced. From the first moments, the tension was palpable. Forced smiles and clipped conversations set the stage for disaster. A trivial disagreement over food preparation ignited a chain reaction. Jenny, conditioned to serve, hesitated and asked a simple question, and Sadhna corrected her sharply, the tone slicing through weeks of pent-up humiliation. For Jenny, this was the breaking point, a culmination of every small indignity endured, and for Sumit, it was the final confirmation that compromise was no longer possible. In a moment viewers rarely witness, Sumit's voice broke through years of passive mediation. "She is my wife, not your servant." The words landed like a bomb, detonating years of unspoken conflict. Sadhna's reaction was immediate, explosive, and filled with accusations, claiming betrayal, dishonor, and the erosion of family values, eventually declaring she could no longer live with them, storming away from the picnic, leaving a stunned silence in her wake.
Jenny froze, dissociating, emotionally shutting down rather than reacting with immediate tears, the weight of her reality crashing down as Sumit faced the devastating cost of speaking his truth. Behind the scenes, arguments continued long after cameras stopped rolling, voices raised, accusations thrown, and Jenny's sense of belonging shattered, highlighting the stark reality that she was tolerated, not welcomed, that her title as Sumit's wife meant nothing in the hierarchy of control. Private conversations revealed the depth of her despair. She expressed to Sumit that living there stripped her of dignity, that she no longer recognized herself, that the home felt like punishment rather than partnership, leaving Sumit speechless at the harsh inevitability of the choice before them, to fight for their marriage or for her freedom. Jenny openly discussed returning to the United States, permanently this time, considering a life where respect and partnership would exist, not just survival under someone else's rules. The emotional fallout extended beyond the picnic. Days that followed were filled with silence, avoidance, skipped meals, locked doors, and a household that had become uninhabitable. Sumit grappled with the consequences of his previous inaction, realizing that mediation without confrontation had only prolonged the agony. Meanwhile, Jenny's psychological state deteriorated further, her confidence eroding, hope flickering, yet a determination quietly growing inside her to reclaim autonomy, to decide where and with whom she truly belonged. The conflict highlighted deeper issues about authority, respect, and the limits of compromise, showing the audience that the intersection of love and family can create create a battleground that tests loyalties, moral boundaries, and personal identity. As the story unfolded, it became clear that the external audience watching this drama was witnessing a microcosm of human struggle, the complex dynamics of family, marriage, and individual agency, all colliding under pressure that many would find unbearable. Jenny's trajectory, from hope and optimism to despair and decisive action, creates a suspenseful narrative arc, leaving viewers questioning, will she stay, fight, or walk away permanently? What Sumit decides next.
How he navigates the emotional landscape between loyalty to family and devotion to his wife forms the tension that propels the story forward, each decision loaded with consequences that cannot be undone. The emotional narrative intertwines with practical reality, financial constraints, cultural expectations, and personal boundaries, creating a layered storytelling experience that grips the audience, making them invested in every glance, every word, and every pause. The anticipation builds as Jenny's possible return to the U.S. or a potential reconciliation with Sumit under different circumstances hangs in the balance, creating a narrative that combines real-world stakes with deeply personal emotion. Each interaction between Jenny and Sumit, each subtle display of power or tenderness, functions as a building block in the dramatic structure, escalating tension, increasing suspense, and keeping the audience emotionally engaged. Beyond personal conflict, this story highlights universal themes: autonomy versus duty, love versus obligation, and the struggle for recognition within hierarchical systems, showing how small decisions like a temporary move into a relative's home can have far-reaching consequences. As the series progresses, audiences are drawn into a complex web of prediction and speculation. Will Jenny find a way to assert her independence without destroying her marriage? Can Sumit confront his mother and establish boundaries, or will family expectations crush their relationship entirely? The emotional stakes are amplified by the constant tension, the unspoken rules, and the power dynamics at play, making every interaction, every glance, every word a potential turning point. Jenny's internal monologue, combined with external pressures from her environment, creates a multi-dimensional character study of resilience, vulnerability, and the human capacity to make painful choices. As future episodes unfold, predictions swirl. Jenny may return to the U.S., Sumit may take a stand against his mother's authoritarian control, or they may attempt a delicate reconciliation that balances respect, autonomy, and marital commitment. The suspense is compounded by the audience's awareness of past patterns, historical conflicts, and emotional triggers, keeping viewers engaged, invested, and emotionally on edge. Throughout, the story maintains a balance between dramatic tension, character development, and real-life stakes, making the narrative not just entertaining but deeply relatable. Every scene, from subtle family interactions to explosive confrontations, is crafted to heighten suspense, evoke empathy, and maintain engagement, ensuring that the story resonates long after the cameras stop rolling. Jenny's evolving sense of agency, her confrontation with systemic family control, and her navigation of personal versus collective expectations create a compelling arc that merges drama, suspense, and real-world relevance. In essence, this narrative is an intricate tapestry of emotional intensity, familial pressure, and personal resilience, a story that continues to unfold, leaving audiences anticipating, speculating, and emotionally invested in every decision, every conflict, and every possibility that lies ahead. Capturing the raw reality of human relationships under extreme stress, the fragility of marital bonds in complex family systems, and the extraordinary courage required to reclaim one's dignity and define one's path amidst overwhelming adversity.